childhood to adulthood, why kids are so curious, why teenagers take risks, and how our frontal lobe finally matures in our mid-20s. But today, we're diving into something even deeper: emotions. You know those moments when emotions just take over? When you get so angry, sad, or anxious that it feels like your brain has completely hijacked you? Well, that's because it has. Welcome to the world of the limbic system, the emotional brain. This little part of your brain is responsible for everything from joy and excitement to fear and anxiety. It controls your memories, habits, and even survival instincts. And trust me, once you understand how the limbic system works, you'll start noticing patterns in your emotions and maybe even learn how to control them. So, what is the limbic system? The limbic system is a network of structures deep inside your brain that controls emotions, which is how you feel and react to situations, memories, which is how your brain stores emotional experiences, and survival instincts, which is your fight or flight response. It's like the control center for your feelings. The main players in the system are the amygdala, your fear and emotional response center, the hippocampus, which is the memory processor, the hypothalamus, which is the master regulator of hormones, the thalamus, which is the sensory relay center. The amygdala is like an overprotective security guard. It's always on high alert for danger. Ever had a moment where your heart suddenly races, your hands sweat, and your stomach drops, even before you know why? That's your amygdala detecting a potential threat and sending your body into fight or flight mode. An example of this is if you're walking at night and you hear footsteps behind you. Your amygdala triggers your heart rate to increase, your breath to quicken, and your muscles to tense up, all before your logical brain can even process what's happening. Now, while this is amazing for actual danger, like a bear chasing you, but what about false alarms? For people with anxiety disorders, the amygdala overreacts to everyday situations, like giving a presentation, texting the wrong person, or even thinking about the future. It triggers the same fight or flight response, even when there's no real threat. The good news? The frontal lobe, the logical part of your brain, can step in and calm things down. That's why therapy techniques like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, work so well. They help train the frontal lobe to regulate the amygdala's panic responses. Next up, we have the hippocampus, the part of your brain that stores memories. Ever smelled a perfume and immediately thought of someone? Or heard a song and got hit with a wave of nostalgia? That's the hippocampus at work. An example of this is if you got yelled at as a kid every time you spilled something, your hippocampus might store that memory with a strong negative emotion. Years later, you might still feel anxious when you make a mistake, even if no one's going to yell at you. In people with PTSD, the hippocampus has trouble distinguishing past trauma from current reality. That's why certain triggers like a loud noise or a familiar smell can send someone into a full-blown panic attack, even when they are safe. But here's the hopeful part. The brain is plastic, meaning it can rewire itself. Therapy, mindfulness, and even exposure therapy help the hippocampus reprocess traumatic memories so they don't feel like they're happening right now. Next is the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is like the brain's thermostat. It controls hunger, sleep, body temperature, and especially stress hormones. When you feel stressed, the hypothalamus signals your body to release cortisol, the stress hormone. Now, a little cortisol is helpful. It keeps us alert and focused, but chronic stress floods the brain with cortisol, leading to anxiety and depression, sleep problems, and memory issues. Have you ever had brain fog when you're overwhelmed? That's because cortisol disrupts memory processing in the hippocampus. The best way to lower cortisol is to exercise, take deep breaths, and get better sleep. These activities signal to the hypothalamus to slow down stress hormones and bring the body back to balance and rest. Now that we know how the limbic system works, let's talk about how to take control of your emotions. The first step is to train your frontal lobe. Practice mindfulness and journaling to slow down emotional reactions. Challenge negative thoughts. Ask yourself, is this fear real or is it just my amygdala overreacting? The second step is to rewire your hippocampus. Expose yourself to new experiences to reshape old memories. You can go to therapy and self-respect to help reprocess past trauma. The third step is to lower cortisol. Reduce stress through exercise, deep breathing, and getting better sleep. So, emotions aren't just random. They're wired into your brain's survival system. But here's the best part. The brain is always changing. You're not stuck with your emotional reactions. With the right tools, you can rewire your brain to handle stress, process emotions, and create better mental habits. And that's exactly what we're talking about in the next playlist. How mental health conditions can physically change the brain, and what we can do to reverse those effects. Don't miss it. See you in the next episode.